Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So it's a holiday and I'm working from home. Please excuse the background noise. But this is due this week, so I will be sharing with you the life and works of Rizal. This is under our general education component. So as we go along, I want you to check your formative test because the questions that I will be sharing here are found in your formative test. So let's see if your answers are correct. All right. So, by the way, I'm also struggling with Google Meet. So, in case my recording will stop, I will prepare another recording for the continuation of our discussion. So, let's start. Now, I have prepared here a slide showing the birth information of Rizal. So, these are basic information and this might appear no, in your examination. So, like for example, the full name of Rizal, it's Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Rialonga. And he was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna. His mother is Chodora Alonso Rialonda and his father is Francisco Rizal Mercado. Rizal was the seventh of 11 children. So most of his siblings were girls. It was only him and Pasiano who were boys. All right. So let's go to the first question. What is the official name of the law that mandates the inclusion of Jose Rizal's life, works, and writings in the Philippine educational curriculum? So letter A, Republic Act number 1425. Letter B, Republic Act number 1616. Letter C, Republic Act number 1898. Or letter D, Republic Act number 1996. So I know that majority of you are taking this subject this semester. So maybe you know the answer. So what is your answer for question number one? All right. So the correct answer is Republic Act number 1425. This is also commonly known as the Rizal Law. So this law was enacted on June 12, 1956 during the administration of President Ramon Magsaysay. So Ramon Magsaysay reigned in the Philippines as president from December 30, 1953 to March 17, 1957. So the Rizal Law was authored or sponsored by two senators. We have Senator Claro M. Recto and Senator Jose P. Laurel. So what's the provision of this law? Ano ang sinasaad ng batas na ito? All right, so first provision is that Rizal's life, works, and writings must be included in the curriculum of all public and private schools, colleges, and universities. So specifically, the highlight of this was studying the most famous novels of Jose Rizal. We have the No Limitang and the El Filibusterismo. So basically, if you are a student in any school, either public or private at the college level, so you are required to enroll in Rizal. So this is one of the provisions of this law. Another is that in this subject, as part of the curriculum, the use of unexpurgated editions has to be followed. So when we say unexpurgated editions, these are the original editions. There are exemptions for religious beliefs. Like, for example, if you don't want to read the novels, no, because during that time when this law was passed, there were conflicts between the Catholic Church and the proponents of this law because, No Limitang and El Filibusterismo painted like a picture, an ugly picture of Catholicism or the Catholic Church. So the priests didn't want it to be, you know, exposed, especially to the students. And during this time, marami pa tayong mga Catholic schools, all right? So Kaya they were able to come up with exemptions, provided that they submit a sworn written statement and that students would still study Rizal's life and works, even if they are excused from reading specific texts. Another provision is the library requirement. So schools must maintain copies of Rizal's works in the library. So that is part of the Rizal law. Again, let's remember the number 1425. Okay, 1425. So this might appear in the exam. Republic Act number 1425 or the Rizal law. Let's go to the second question, number 2. Due to his honest concern for his fellow men, Jose Rizal gave up his desires and pursued his fight for reform among his countrymen. Which trait is described? So letter A, self-respect. Letter B, self-love. Letter C, self-sacrifice. Or letter D, politeness. So from the choices, I think you can recognize already the distractor. Parang sa alin yung naiba. So it's letter D, no? Politeness. So what's your answer for letter D? Politeness is the distractor, no? So parang tatlo na lang pagpipilian natin. So what is your answer for number 2? All right, so it's letter C, self-sacrifice. What's self-sacrifice? It's the willingness to give up personal needs, desires, or comfort for the benefit of others or a greater cause. It also reflects altruism or empathy. So, kung titingnan natin yung choices, self-respect, parang iba yung meaning kasi ng self-respect, no? Self-love is also, iba rin yung meaning kasi that's meaning love for yourself or like giving value to yourself. So letter C talaga yung answer dito. And how did Rizal show his self-sacrifice? That is through his martyrdom in Bagong Bayan, which inspired Filipinos to fight for independence. All right, so let's go to number 3. Which member of Jose Rizal's family was known for her significant influence on his early education and upbringing? Actually, this question is somehow leading kasi her significant influence. So, we'll be able to, detect that it's a her. So, it's either, so let's go to the choices. A, his father, Francisco Mercado. B, his mother, Chodora Alonso. Pwede, no? Kasi her. C, his sister, Saturnina. Pwede din kasi her. Letter D is his brother, Pasiano. So, with the framing of this question, no, we can sense that it's either B or C. And what is your answer for number 3? Okay, for number 3, the answer is letter B, his mother, Chodora Alonso. So let's take a look at the role of Chodora Alonso on the life of Rizal, aside from being his biological mother. So Chodora Alonso was a highly educated and cultured woman who instilled in Rizal a love for learning. In fact, he learned to read at the age of 3. So Chodora Alonso was also Rizal's first teacher. And one significant event that Rizal shared in one of his entitled Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila, he shared the story of the moth. I think we are familiar of the story of the moth also. Okay, so that's how his mother influenced Rizal. So basically, he was Rizal's first teacher. So what significant events marked her pivotal role in Rizal's life? Una-una, when Rizal was 11 years old, Chodora was falsely accused of attempting to poison her sister-in-law and was arrested. Actually, this arrest affected Rizal, planting the seeds of his indignation against injustice and colonial oppression. So, wait lang ha for a while kasi parang okay, stay in the call. So, okay, so let's continue. There was just a prompt because I'm the only one in the room. All right, so where are we now? Okay, so yan. So, Rizal wrote his first poem, Mi Primera Inspiración, or My First Inspiration, as a tribute to his mother. So, later in Rizal's life, di ba, he studied ophthalmology. So, one of the reasons why he studied ophthalmology, sorry, was because of that desire to treat his mother's advancing blindness. In fact, when he was already in Dapitan, his mother went there for the cataract surgery. Okay, that was during his exile in Dapitan. Okay, so let's take a look at the roles also of those other family members mentioned in the choices. Let's take a look at his father, Francisco Mercado. So we've learned, no, in our subject Rizal, or in the course Rizal, that the Mercado family was well off. No, so his father was a landowner and a businessman, and this income allowed the family to provide Rizal and his siblings with the necessary resources such as books and materials to support his education. No, in fact, they even had their private tutors. No, and his father, Francisco Mercado, was very much concerned of Rizal getting good education. So he supported Rizal's early education in Binyan, Laguna at the age of 9 under Maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz. So please take note of the names. This might appear in the exam. So his first teacher in Binyan, Laguna was Maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz. So Francisco Mercado also supported his studies at the Ateneo Municipal de Manila and later at the University of Santo Tomas. So kung tutuusin, parang si Francisco Mercado, his father was the provider when it comes to Rizal gaining his education. He was very supportive of Rizal being getting good education. So that's his father, Francisco Mercado. Let's take a look at the next option in the question, his sister Saturnina. So what's the role of Saturnina in the life of Rizal? This might also appear in the exam. So Saturnina, known as Ate Neneng, was Rizal's second mother figure. So she supported Rizal financially during his studies abroad. No, for instance, during the time that Rizal was uh, studying abroad, no, she sent him a diamond ring to help with these expenses. And in 1909, she facilitated the publication of the first Tagalog translation of No Limitang So that's Rizal's sister, Saturnina. Okay, so let's go to Pasiano. Pasiano is also a famous figure in the revolt against the Spaniards during the time of Rizal. This is Pasiano is his brother. So if um, we're going to look at the records, he accompanied Rizal to Binyan for his early schooling and later helped him enroll at the Ateneo Municipal de Manila. Okay. So he was also the one who introduced Rizal to the nationalist ideas of Father Jose Burgos, one of the martyred priests of Gumburza. So Pasiano seemed to have high influence on Rizal. So he was like the one, started to plant the seed on Rizal regarding yung kamulatan sa nangyayari sa society that time. So he encouraged Rizal to adopt the surname Rizal instead of Mercado to avoid suspicion from Spanish authorities. So this happened after the death of the Gumburza. So instead of Mercado Rizal, Jose Rizal used the surname Rizal. All right, so let's proceed to okay. So I have here a bonus information. So did you know that Rizal was only 4 years old when his sister Concepcion passed away at the tender age of 3? Parang I remember during our exam, there was a question like what was the name of Rizal's sister? I don't know if it was during the actual let or during my uh what do you call this? personal review. So, baka lumabas. This might appear also in the exam. So, what was the name of Rizal's sister who passed away when he was just 4 years old? So, the name of the sister is Concepcion, and she died at the age of 3. And her death marked his first encounter with profound grief, which left a lasting impression on him and contributed to his sensitivity and depth as a writer and thinker. So others also would say that this was Rizal's first heartbreak. All right, so let's proceed to the fourth question. Okay, in Noli Me Tangere, who is the character that helps Ibarra escape from prison and serves as a symbol of hope and resistance? Letter A, Basilio. Letter B, Capitan Tiago. Letter C, Elias. Or letter D, Don Tiborcio. So, good thing because right now you're taking Rizal. So, make sure that you'll be able to read Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo because some of the characters in these novels might appear also in the exam. So, more of symbolisms, but any question could come out in the examination. So, you just review maybe if you haven't read the novels yet, you can start already reading. All right, so what is your answer for number 4? The answer is letter C, Elias. Okay, so sino si Elias? Elias is introduced as a mysterious and courageous man who becomes a close ally of Crisostomo Ibarra. So if you remember in the story, by the way, later I have another slide to you some of the notable characters in Noli Me Tangere. Okay. So, what happened to Elias? Elias actually belonged to a wealthy family, but because of colonialism, the colonial rule of Spain, his family had misfortunes. No, his family's misfortunes shaped his revolutionary ideals and his desire to fight against oppression. So they felt the oppression of the colonial rule. And then, I am sorry, it was like a double encoding lang. All right, so who were um, the other characters? So by the way, the question was, who was the character that helped Ibarra escape? No, it's not only one time that Elias helped Ibarra escape. So many times that he helped Ibarra. So, who are other notable characters in Noli Me Tangere? Of course, the protagonist, Ibarra. Juan Crisostomo Ibarra. So, he is a young Filipino, a Spanish man who escaped from a young Filipino Spanish man returned to the Philippines after studying in Europe. And another notable character, which might also appear in the exam, is Maria Clara. So, Maria Clara is Ibarra's childhood sweetheart and fiancé. And later, no, we have learned from the story that Maria Clara had like an adoptive father, or yeah, but his actual father, no, biological father, they found out that it's Padre Damaso. So Maria Clara is like the picture of the typical Filipino woman, like submissive, and yeah, you just have to review again the story about Maria Clara. And then Padre Damaso is a corrupt and arrogant friar who embodies the abuses of the clergy. So he is actually the father of Maria Clara, no? And then Capitan Tiago is a wealthy Filipino socialite and Maria Clara's adoptive father. So siya yung kinikilala, si Capitan Tiago ang kinikilalang ama ni Maria Clara, and he's like representing the wealthy, or the elite, no, the elite class during that time who were collaborating with the Spanish authorities. And then we have here another character, Basilio, which was already found in the choices or in the options for question number 4. Basilio. Okay, Capitan Tiago was also there in the choices. So we have Basilio, the elder son of Sisa, um, as Basilio was a sacristan in the church. So his younger brother was Crispin, no? So Basilio and Crispin were sons of Sisa. And later, Crispin was like reported missing, no? Kaya dyan lumabas yung story na nabaliw si Sisa, and later Sisa was found in the jungle. She was found dead, pinatay, nakita ni Basilio yon, and Basilio is like the representation of the common Filipino, and he was able to show resilience, that despite the hardships, despite the challenges he had went through, nakapag-aral pa rin siya after that. So yeah, it's like Basilio was the hope. Yan. Then Don Tiburcio was a Spanish expatriate who arrives in the Philippines and struggles to find a stable livelihood. So these characters are representations of what was happening in the Philippine society. So I want you to review on this also, because this might appear in the examination. Okay, let's move to question number 5. In which city in Belgium did Rizal print and publish his El Filibusterismo in 1891? Letter A, Bruges. Letter B, Ghent. Letter C, Leuven. Letter D, Brussels. So what is your answer for number 5? Okay, so for number 5, the answer is Ghent. So El Filibusterismo was printed and published in Ghent, Belgium on September 18, 1891. So please remember that El Filibusterismo was published in 1891. Okay, he chose Ghent due to its lower printing costs, which allowed him to complete the publication despite financial challenges. So again, El Filibusterismo was printed and published in Ghent, Belgium on September 18, 1891. Okay, question number 6. What essay did Rizal write to defend the native Filipinos' intellectual capacity and challenge racial prejudice? Is it A, Sobre la Indolencia de los Filipinos? Letter B, La Visión del Fray Rodriguez. Letter C, The Philippine a Century Hence. Letter D, Sa Kabataang Filipino. So this is also another challenge because there are many works of Rizal, writings of Rizal. So you have to, review on this. What are the titles and then what are the contents of these writings or works of Rizal? Okay, but somehow you can see, I think you can see clues from the question itself. Okay, kasi pinag-uusapan dito yung kanyang pag-defend on the native Filipinos' intellectual capacity, because during the Spanish rule, native Filipinos were called Indios. No? So, what is your answer for number 6? Okay, so for number 6, the answer is Sobre la Indolencia de los Filipinos, or On the Indolence of the Filipinos. So this was published in La Solidaridad in 1890. So we remember, no, that La Solidaridad was like a newspaper, and it contained mga mga writings about what was like happening, in the Philippine society that time. So this essay refuted the stereotype that Filipinos were inherently lazy, not only that they are Indios walang alam or mangmang, but they were also labeled as lazy. So Rizal argued that the perceived indolence was a result of oppressive colonial policies, lack of opportunities, and systemic exploitation by the Spanish authorities. So in that essay, he was able to bring the message that kaya ganito yung mga Filipinos, it's because of the oppression that's happening in the Philippine society. Okay, question number 7. We're almost done. 2 more questions, and I have also bonus questions for you. So number 7, what was Jose Rizal's role in the propaganda movement? Okay, So letter A, he served as the leader of the movement. Letter B, he was a prominent member and contributed writings to La Solidaridad. Letter C, he advocated for armed rebellion against Spanish rule. Or letter D, he collaborated with Spanish authorities to suppress nationalist sentiments. What is your answer for question number 7? Okay, I think you got some clues from the previous slides, no? The answer is letter B. He was a prominent member and contributed writings to La Solidaridad. So as you can see in the picture, you have Jose Rizal, Marcelo del Pilar, and Mariano Ponce. And so this is a very famous photo also. So La Solidaridad was the official newspaper of the propaganda movement, and it was first published on February 15, 1889. Please take note of the dates, no? February 15, 1889 in Barcelona, Spain. So, saan ba na-publish o saan pinapublish si La Solidaridad? So, this newspaper was published in Barcelona, Spain. Actually, that was the first publication, but it lasted for uh, years, no? Na-maintain nila na that newspaper. However, there were also conflicts while they were publishing it in Spain, Barcelona, and so they moved to Madrid. So the first editor of La Solidaridad was Graciano Lopez Haina. Again, he was the first editor, but Marcelo H. Del Pilar took over as editor in October 1889 and managed the newspaper until it ceased publication in 1895. So just compute how many years it existed, no, from 1889 to 1895. So the first editor was Graciano Lopez Haina, and the second editor was Marcelo H. Del Pilar. Who were the other contributors to the La Solidaridad? So we had Mariano Ponce, Antonio Luna, and Pedro Paterno. So this this paper advocated for representation of the Philippines in the Spanish Cortes. So that time, no, some of the events or happenings in the Philippines were not accurately reported to the Spanish authorities in Spain. So writing articles, essays in La Solidaridad gave them an opportunity to represent the concerns that were actually felt by Filipinos in the society that time. So La Solidaridad was published bi-weekly and became a major voice for Filipino reformists. What's bi-weekly? That's twice a month, no, na pinapublish. Jose Rizal was a notable contributor, writing articles that analyzed Philippine society and called for reforms. All right, so that's La Solidaridad. Very famous also. This is one famous newspaper pag pinag-usapan si Jose Rizal. All right, let's go to the last question for this subject under Gen Ed. So number 8, Rizal, being a great scientist, discovered 3 new species of, we have lizards, frogs, and blank. Letter A, birds. Letter B, dogs. Letter C, beetles. Or letter D, cats. What is your answer? The answer is letter C, beetles. During his exile in Dapitan, Rizal discovered and collected various species. Please remember, these are the 3 species. We have lizard, which is named Draco rizali, a frog, Rhacophorus rizali, and a beetle, Apogonia rizali. So usually when you discover a species, the scientific name somehow is, oh yeah, you can like use your name as part of the scientific name. So that's what happened here, no? Draco rizali for the lizard, Rhacophorus rizali for the frog, and Apogonia rizali for the beetle. All right, so we are done with the questions that are found in your formative test, but I have bonus questions for you. Okay, bonus question number 1. What was Polo y Servicio during the Spanish colonial period in the Philippines? Letter A form of voluntary community service. Letter B, a mandatory military conscription. Letter C, a system of forced labor imposed on indigenous Filipinos. Or letter D, a religious pilgrimage required by the Catholic Church. What is your answer? Okay, so the answer here is letter C, a system of forced labor imposed on indigenous Filipinos. So during that time, Filipino males aged 16 to 60 years old need to render, this is mandatory, 40 days of labor annually for public works and other projects. Grabe, no? They were made to construct roads, bridges, churches, and government buildings, and uh, most common was shipbuilding and other tasks. So everybody was required to do polo e-servisyo. Pero question, may exempted ba? So meron pa din. Who were exempted from this forced labor? Number 1, local chiefs and their eldest sons. Grabe no, ang tawag nito, ang injustice in the society. Pwede pala kapag chief ka, you can be exempted from this forced labor. Secondly, those who could afford to pay the falya. So the falya is a fee that allowed individuals to be exempted from the forced labor system. So the amount of the falya varied over time but was typically set at 1.5 reales per day of labor that was skipped. Okay? So, 1.5 reais per day. Grabe, may patubo pa. So, if, example, no, in our modern day setting, if it's 350, it's 300 per day, so dapat yung binabayaran mo is 450 kasi 1.5. So this system of FALIA created a social divide, reinforcing social inequalities and added to the resentment against Spanish colonial policies. Kasi yung iba, they can just skip the polo y servicio. So those who were wealthy, those who can afford can do it, no? Can be exempted. And yung mga nasa laylayan, the more that they didn't have any chance of being exempted, they really were forced to give forced labor. All right, so another bonus question. No limitangere is to Philippine society as el filibusterismo is to blank. A. Spanish colonization. B. Filipino nationalism. C. Social injustice and oppression. D. Religious themes. So I think from the options or choices, you can already identify some distractors. No? What's your answer for this question? The answer is B, Filipino nationalism. So, El Filibusterismo is the sequel, ang part 2 ng Noli Me Tangere. So, this is the sequel to his novel Noli Me Tangere, and it was published in 1891. Okay, this was the revolutionary work that delves into themes of oppression, corruption, the struggle for freedom, and displayed or played a significant role in the Philippine Revolution, influencing leaders like Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Aguinaldo. So more of revolutionary ang dating ni El Filibusterismo, not just showing what was happening in the Philippine society, but more of revolutionary work siya. No? So, what sets it apart from No Limitang Here? So, No Limitang Here, if you researched on it or if you have learned that in your subject or course, it translates to Touch Me Not, which symbolizes the untouchable issues in Philippine society. Because that time, when you touch issues about Christianity, the Catholic Church, it was like a taboo. You should not talk about it, okay? So Rizal began writing Noli Me Tangere in Madrid in 1884 while studying medicine, and he published it on February 21, 1887 in Berlin, Germany. So Noli Me Tangere was more hopeful and reformist, advocating, okay, remember, no, ang atong, the El Filibusterismo was published in 1891. If we go back to the previous slide, sorry. Okay, it was 1891. So 1887, 88, 89, 1990. 4 years later, he published also uh, El Filibusterismo. So 1887, si Noli Me Tangere, 1891, si El Filibusterismo. Okay. So, Noli Me Tangere was more hopeful and reformist, advocating peaceful change through education and enlightenment, while El Filibusterismo was darker and more revolutionary, portraying the futility of reforms and exploring radical measures as response to deep-rooted expression, or oppression. So, what inspired Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Aguinaldo was El Filibusterismo, no? El Filibusterismo, because it was more of revolutionary yung kanyang content. Okay, so this is the last question, last bonus question. Where was Jose Rizal executed? Because yung iba kasi, they tend to get confused if it's letter A ba, letter B ba, or letter D. Actually, yung Barcelona is a distractor. So what is your answer for this question? The answer is letter D, Bagumbayan, now Rizal Park in Manila. So he was executed on December 30, 1896. And we say no that before his execution, he wrote Mi Ultimo Adios. Okay. He was convicted of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy against the Spanish colonial government. So what triggered the Spanish government to arrest Jose Rizal? Pero actually, they were already plotting against Jose Rizal even before this time. Okay. They were just planning when to capture him. Okay, so the Spanish authorities suppressed his writings along with his involvement in the propaganda movement and the founding of La Liga Filipina. So when Rizal came after, if I'm not mistaken, it was from Hong Kong or somewhere in Asia, no? He had a trip, and then he was actually receiving already mga hints or tips that the Spanish authorities were preparing for his arrest. But despite that, he still co-founded, or he still organized a civic organization in Tondo, Manila called La Liga Filipina on July 3, 1982. And just 3 days, so 3, 4, 5, 6, July 6, no? After its founding, Rizal was arrested and deported to Dapitan. So while La Liga Filipina itself advocated peaceful reforms, the content of La Liga Filipina was peaceful reforms. Its dissolution after Rizal's arrest triggered the revolutionists, Filipino revolutionists, and this led to the rise of more radical groups. So parang na-trigger talaga yung mga revolutionists, radical groups. Members who lost faith in peaceful reform, such as Andres Bonifacio, went to establish the Katipunan, which sought independence through armed revolution. So hindi daw kaya na peaceful reform. So they started already establishing the Katipunan, and started the armed revolution. So that's how powerful, no, the La Liga Filipina was, and the triggering factor when they arrested Jose Rizal. Okay, so one option there in the question, the last question, is Dapitan. Why is Dapitan included there? So actually, Dapitan is the place of exile. This is where Jose Rizal was exiled for 4 years, no? From July 17, 1892 to July 31, 1896. During his stay in Dapitan, Rizal established a school. He performed eye surgeries, treated patients without charge because he was an ophthalmologist. He designed a water system to provide clean drinking water to the community. In fact, um, he is also a scientist. Not only that he is a writer, a poet, an artist, he's also a scientist, an ophthalmologist. He's very, talented. So Rizal conducted research on local flora and fauna, contributing to scientific knowledge when in fact the question I had earlier about his discovery of new species, diba? This shows that he was into research as well. So, in Dapitan, during his exile, Rizal met Josephine Bracken. So, this character is also very famous. Baka lumabas din to sa exam, no? Si Josephine Bracken, who became his partner. She was an Irish Filipina who arrived in Dapitan in 1895 with her adoptive father, George Topher, who sought Rizal's expertise as an ophthalmologist. So, nagpapa-check up lang sa mata. But, they became fond of each other and they fell in love with each other. So the sad part was that they did not get married because they had different faiths or beliefs. No, parang Protestant yata to si Joseph and Bracken, if I'm not mistaken. And the church did not allow the ceremonial or marrying them in the church. So on December 30, 1896, hours before Rizal's execution, Spanish authorities allowed the couple to marry in a Catholic ceremony officiated by Father Victor Balaguer. So actually, in Dapitan, parang there's also a record wherein they had a son, but the baby died. So that was an account na recorded during his exile in Dapitan. So that's it. I hope that you were able to capture some important details from this lecture this afternoon, morning, evening. And I hope that you will also do your part. Read the novels, take a look at the works and writings of Rizal, whatever is relevant. Remember the names and the dates, important dates. You can make your own tawag nito, notes, no? And do some drills, especially on the dates, the places, the events. So that's the challenge of having history as part of general education. All right, so that's it for today, everyone. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Bye. I'll be signing off.